If you find yourself in the market for a place to live, this is a frustrating time for you, no doubt. Whether buying or renting, housing prices continue to rise. It might be about to get worse for thousands of New Mexicans. Both the state and federal governments have had moratoriums on evictions during the pandemic, but those may soon be expiring. And Martha, is there a way to avoid a wave of evictions that might be cresting and just ready to break as we emerge from the pandemic's economic trough?
Well, Gene, I don't think the wave is going to crest immediately because there are some legal protections for some of the tenants. The federal moratorium does not expire till the end of June.
Right.
We don't, as far as I know, have an expiration date for state moratoriums, and some of them are different than the federal. But the eviction problem is here. The real estate problem, as we all have been reading about, is also here. And once again, to just be a broken record, this is falling on women more than men. A recent study came out of the Institute for Policy Studies in Washington. I just read it yesterday, that women are evicted at almost twice the rate of men.
Wow.
It was disproportionately on women of color, and that's very important for New Mexico because they compared Latinx women with Latinx men, and the same thing holds. Women, again, sometimes they have the kids to take care of and so forth. All goes back to that minimum wage. Maybe they can't make enough to pay the rent. So it is going to be a huge problem. I wish I could sit here and say, boy, here's the solution, but we don't have to right now countrywide.
You know, the numbers are scary, Laura. 50 to 100,000 people on the brink of eviction statewide we're seeing here from folks who are tracking these things. New Mexico Center for Law and Poverty, that's their recent data. I mean, you're talking a lot of these folks need to get on board with some kind of plan to stay now because there's just not a lot of backstopping. Do we have enough backstopping? Maybe it's the better question to help these folks who are in need for some rental help or assistance.
Well, it's very hard to unpack that. I think what's interesting is we have in general just a lack of affordable housing in the state, even when not in the middle of a pandemic. And if you're familiar at all with some of the housing and urban development programs, there are several housing authorities in the state of New Mexico that deal with Section 8 housing vouchers, as well as providing public housing, largely to people who meet certain criteria in terms of economic level, or they're disabled, or on some other public assistance. And so that's a very vulnerable population that actually, to some extent, I wouldn't say that the problem's addressed because we obviously have a homelessness issue, but a lot of those folks are thankfully already covered under the housing authority issues. So this is largely, this eviction issue is really affecting the working poor. So folks who are not eligible maybe for a lot of the public assistance out there, maybe are not disabled in certain categories where there would be other federal public assistance and state assistance. But it's folks who have been either unemployed or underemployed, and they're being impacted in particular by this pandemic. So we're talking about a lot of families. I do agree with Martha that it probably disproportionately affects people of color and women. If you just look at our society, we have a lot of women that are single mothers. And so we definitely are talking about the most vulnerable population. There are some programs that the federal government has started to establish that the state is working on trying to move forward and move out to people in need. And that, for example, folks can go to the New Mexico Finance Authority website, and there's some rental assistance applications there. There's also some that I think some of the local TV stations had links to as well, like KRQE. But basically, there are some programs that are already available for rental assistance, but it's trying to get folks who are in that vulnerable population connected with those resources. And that's not always an easy thing. You might have some people who just aren't even on, have internet access, aren't able to access some of that information. And so that's where a lot of these nonprofit organizations that focus on low income advocacy, they can be super important when it comes to this. Social workers, others. I mean, this is really a community problem that we need to address.
RentHelpNM.org. I'm glad you brought that up, Laura. Hey, Dan, let me talk about landlords here for a second. And they have needs, they have rights, and how do we take this into account? the perception, of course, is that they're the ones with all the dough, but it can't be on them to provide free housing forever. I hate to be, so harsh about this. And then you've got other things that cost them money as well. How do we balance this so it comes out fairly for both the landlord and the tenant who might be struggling with money right now?
So I think there's a couple things that we have to look at, and I'm sure people are going to come off the ropes on me, but I think that there's a couple things. One of them is, there was help provided to landlords during the COVID situation, right? They were given money. There was extra money given to tenants through unemployment benefits. It becomes a matter of priorities in some extent, right? I mean, you got to make sure you're paying your mortgage or your rent. You got to make sure you're getting food on the table, gas and electric, and that kind of stuff. And so I have a hard time for both sides. I have a hard time for sympathy with both sides. Landlords were given some abatement, and they were given more if they showed that they gave abatement to their tenants. Then there was additional monies that were available to them. But you're right. The key is at some point, either we're all going to keep paying this, or everybody's going to have to figure out a way to make this work out. And I think that to some extent, the government looked at both sides of this and said, look, we're going to give extra benefits to folks that need them. We're going to give extra benefits to the landlords, and hopefully between the two, things will work out. But, as we know, it doesn't seem to work out that way. Somebody always feels that they're being wronged, they're being slighted, and at some point, it's going to be a serious, significant problem. The one thing that I think is going to unfairly, or not unfairly, I just think it's the way it's going to be. It's going to affect the folks that get evicted is, the housing market right now, an apartment market, is out of control in New Mexico. It's out of control. And I mean, we're literally bordering on a New York style, where people are getting booted because they agreed to $900 a month, and now you can get $2,800 a month to rent that apartment. And so, if people haven't been using these resources wisely to keep themselves up, landlords are not going to miss the opportunity to boot people and try to find folks that are willing to pay more in rent.
That'll have to be the last word. Have to do it for now. Sorry about that. Thanks to all our panelists for your thoughts, however. It's always good to work through these issues with you all. I'm back in a moment with a few final thoughts.